We have big news. We have exciting news for you. Tell them what it is, Serena.
We are super excited to announce that we are starting our first membership this January 2024.
Yay! Membership.
So we're excited to let you know that we will be hosting a monthly membership where when you join, you will be
with us live in a Zoom room once a month for a workshop like we just hosted. It's going to be a workshop like that, one topic each month, a different topic. You might even help us come up with the following month's topic from inside our membership. Super excited to meet you. It was so fun meeting a few of you in our inaugural workshop. So we're really looking forward to that.
And when you are a member, you will also be receiving a monthly newsletter where I'm going to be a little more intimate and I'll be sharing the things that are working and the things that aren't working for me.
Yeah, like taking a tool that you've learned from the podcast and how you're implementing it and how well that worked, or maybe if it didn't work. And then Amma can put in my 2 bits worth. We'll see how that goes. But a membership newsletter and a membership live Zoom room workshop starting in January 2024. Can sign up through our Patreon link in the show notes, yeah?
Yes, everything will be in the show notes, and we can't wait to see you there, listeners.
We can't wait. Yay!
I really wanted to have an attached, a connected relationship with my son in which he would come to me with his problems and he would, know that I had his back and that he could trust me. And I really struggled to do that. So it was my own journey and the research and the healing that I had to do, and struggling with his anger really when he was little, like when he was, just coming into those toddler years where they start to have more of a sense of self and they say no. And sometimes just looking at him and thinking, who are you? When he was having a tantrum or when he was running across the living room, heading straight for my favorite vase to break it because he was angry because I'd set a limit, So those kinds of things, and not wanting to use punishments and rewards. And it really was a journey for me to figure that out.
Hey, Mama, welcome to the Nurturing Parent Podcast. Do you want to end the constant battles for bath time? Do you find yourself emotionally exhausted at the end of the day? Do you wake up with big hopes for a smooth day of fun with your little ones, only to face an early morning meltdown because you peeled their banana the wrong way?
Silly you. Hey, I'm Serena. I am a mama of 2 little ones, and as a new mama, I constantly question myself. I wanted to make sure I was raising respectful kids while also building a strong bond with them, but I discovered that I had to unlearn my ideas that punishment was the way. With Lisa's encouragement, I've been practicing a respectful and gentle parenting approach, which is working so well for our family.
Hey, I'm Lisa. Amma means grandmother in Icelandic. I am a mama and an amma, and I have over 40 years of experience in childcare and parent coaching, and I am so excited to share the knowledge I've gained over these years with you.
Together in this podcast each week, we will explore some easy-to-implement skills you can add to your parenting tool belt to help you create a happy, thriving family. Hey, Mama. So today we are so excited to introduce to you our second guest on the podcast. Colleen Adrian, MN, Master in Nursing, is a coach for parents of sensitive, spirited kids. She is a professional writer, speaker, and mentor who specializes in helping parents learn practices to transform their children's self-criticism into self-confidence. If you are a parent who is at their wit's end for how to deal with your kids' challenging behaviors, Colleen is here to help you learn connected parenting skills so you can build a strong, connected relationship with your child, leaving behind authoritarian methods that break the bond. Colleen is a mom and a stepmom, as well as the author of Freeing Your Child from Self-Criticism and Perfectionism. Her perspective is informed by her experiences and by current research in neuroscience, psychology, spirituality, and the 8 Shields model. Welcome, Colleen, and thank you so much for joining us on our show this week.
Thank you, Serena, and thanks so much for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Yay. I'm so excited.
Yes, we haven't had a guest in a while. Our last one was Sharon, and she did our prenatal series, which got me ready for giving birth to my most recent child without an epidural. It was awesome. It was so
Wow.
fun.
Beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you. So, in your intro, I'd like to know what the 8 Shields model is, if you can just tell me what that is
Sure.
real quick.
So the 8 Shields model is a model that has been created through the life work really of John Young in the US, but it's can be found worldwide, and it's about deep nature connection and connection to others, and community. So, half is nature connection, half is connection to community. And people that participate in those programs actually find that themselves more connected to themselves ultimately as well in their creativity.
Yeah, that sounds really related to how me and Emma connected, right?
And we talk a lot about the importance of being in nature with the little ones. I've got a 2.5-year-old in my care now, and we did an amazing walk gathering all the seeds and grasses and leaves today. So that's perfect. I love that you bring that into your work.
Nice.
Now, my question is, it says also you're a coach for parents of sensitive, spirited kids. Can you tell us what brought you to focus on supporting parents of sensitive, spirited children? And what do you mean by a sensitive, spirited child?
Thanks. I love those questions. So what brought me to focus on that was really very much my own experience. I have a very sensitive child. My stepson is fairly sensitive as well, but I didn't start parenting him and it was just intermittent until he was 12 or so. But my biological son, who's now almost 19, is super sensitive. And I'm also really sensitive, but I didn't realize that in my earlier adult years. And so what brought me to it was really my desire to be a better parent. And full disclosure, my difficulty doing that, my struggle to do that. I really wanted to have a connected relationship with my son, in which he would come to me with his problems and he would, know that I had his back and that he could trust me. And I really struggled to do that. So it was my own journey and the research and the healing that I had to do, and struggling with his anger really when he was little, like when he was, just coming into those toddler years where they start to have more of a sense of self and they say no. And sometimes just looking at him and thinking, who are you, when he was having a tantrum or when he was running across the living room, heading straight for my favorite vase to break it because he was angry because I'd set a limit, So those kinds of things, and not wanting to use punishments and rewards. And it really was a journey for me to figure that out. It didn't, no one book or thing, piece of information helped me sort that out. Although I will say that when he was around 12 or 13, discovering the information on nervous system regulation was pivotal.
So you mentioned that, the toddler years. And I think so many of our listeners can relate to that, where you've got your adorable, angelic infant. And then something happens.
Yeah.
And a lot of parents, you guys out there, you go, what happened to my baby? Like, who are you and what have you done with my cherished little cherub? So I think that in that you were certainly not alone. And all of us are not alone when it comes to those moments in our parenting journey where we go, whoa, now what do I do? Yeah. So through your journey, you created something that you've developed over all these years that you're now helping others with. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. And you had another part to that question too that I haven't answered yet. I think you asked what I meant by sensitive and spirited.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
That's it. Yeah.
And the sensitive kids are the ones who, they feel the itchy tags, or they don't like the fabric of their shirt or the socks, or they're the ones who are really easily overwhelmed by noise, or by too much stimulation, or by not getting enough sleep. They'll lose it faster than the kids who aren't extra sensitive. And somebody
Right.
asked me once recently, they said, well, how do you know like that they're extra sensitive, or like, is that even a thing? Right. And I said, a parent who has a really highly sensitive child and one who isn't highly sensitive, I think that's been my most reliable source that there really is a difference. We're not making this up.
Right.
This one is super sensitive. That one just lets stuff roll off their back. They can.
Oh my gosh. I'm just having like a mind-blowing moment here, because I only realized in the last, I don't know, decade of my life that I'm super sensitive to tags and to the sensation of fabric, different fabrics. Like some I just can't even stand. And I know that I've always been super sensitive emotionally, but I didn't know that I had that overarching super sensitivity. And I certainly have siblings who don't have that. And I'm sure we would have been very different as children. But I think that when I was a young child, 50, 60 years ago, nobody was talking about all of this.
No. Well, they weren't talking about it unless they were talking about it in terms of, you're the problem child. You're the one who needs too much, right?
Or dramatic.
Yeah.
I wasn't the problem child, particularly myself, but definitely the drama. We get called all these different names that it's just not that they don't align, right? It's just that we have this. Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Okay, so then what about the neuroscience? What comes into play there for you as far as how you support parents? And
so the neuroscience, maybe I'll start by saying, for me, what happened when I found the neuroscience was recognizing that because I'm highly sensitive as well, and because I shut some of that down as a younger child because it wasn't recognized or it wasn't attuned to, I was quite disconnected from some of my feelings. And when I say feelings, I mean, I'm referring not only to kind of emotional feelings, there's that, but there's also the other piece of being able to feel them in your body as sensations. The feeling that you get in your gut when something's not right, or the feeling that you feel in the heaviness in your chest when you have some grief. So when you're disconnected from some of those things, from some of those feelings and emotions, it's really hard to attune to your child, because you have to be connected to those feelings in yourself before you can actually attune to somebody else. So discovering nervous system regulation, and then learning to tune more into my own body, and to feel my emotions, and to follow my own heart and my intuition. That was really instrumental in then being able to attune to my son and really shift our relationship to a more connected place.
Amazing.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
I see you nodding a lot, Serena.
Yes, because yes, it all makes sense. It's really just amazing. I felt like I related to it too, because when I was little, I had like a thing with my socks, and I always had a thing with touching paper after touching water, and it was just very weird, and like nobody understood it. But that makes me feel a little understood, and really understand the sensitive kid part, because I was imagining something different. One question I have is, what do you think makes a kid more sensitive, or what is it that causes one kid to be more sensitive than the other, or so sensitive spirited?
Yeah, I don't think that it's something that happens to them in their life. I think they're born with it, in the same way that some people, have the gift of, being able to look at something in nature and paint it with their own painting signature, or, it's really that ability to just notice such subtle differences really through all the senses, and some people more than others, but many of our really sensitive kids are so empathic. Like I know, I've recognized that increasingly myself through my adult years as I've done more healing work. And for sure, I noticed in my son throughout his life, but really, like I can remember when he was little, like I can remember him, saying something in reply to some, like just before they said it, like, and he'd say this exact thing that they were about to say. Like he could read it, he could pick up on it, he just knew, right? So if you imagine what that's like for little kids in our world, with all the things we've got going on, or even picture what it's like for them in a classroom. That's really busy all day. And
so much.
Yeah. I mean, I go into classrooms sometimes, and in their efforts to be really stimulating in a very good way, there's stuff all over the walls, and there's, and sometimes it's too much for those kids.
A lot of times it's too much. Part of my role with children in my life, and also Serena and I do talk about this a lot on the podcast in general, is, stopping the addiction to busyness, slowing down, taking those walks, realizing that we don't have to be talking at our kids all the time, allowing them to just explore the world around them in their own way, whether it's through verbal or not, and just in quiet, And as an example, right now, I'm getting to know this brand new little person that I'm spending time with in childcare. And I'm just sitting back and allowing his cues to come forward,
Nice.
And that's how I like to encourage parents to be when they're with their children. Is what a recent episode we talked about allowing your children to come forward and being more the observer than the director.
I really love that, Lisa. And and if I can comment on that, I think like a struggle, or maybe not a struggle, but an unlearning and a practice for parents who find that they are not doing that as much as they'd like, what you've just suggested, that allowing, sometimes that arises kind of from that space in ourselves that feels like we have to keep busy. So first, I want to just say for all of your listening audience that if you see yourself doing this, be really gentle with yourself, because it tends to come from a place of, in some cases, not enoughness that's in ourselves, right? And that filling up the space kind of thing, right? Or wanting to make sure that our kids kind of get all of the experiences. I do this. I see parents doing this sometimes too, especially at Christmas time, right? And it comes from this loving, best intentioned place, but it doesn't always allow that space that you're talking about that's just so valuable, and that can help kids stay grounded and more stable when they're so sensitive.
So can you talk us through for a parent who has a toddler out there or a preschooler, and they're experiencing the meltdown, whether it's because they're a sensitive child or not? All the kids out there, we all hit the wall sometimes. And so can you give us a little feel of how the neuroscience can help a parent? Can you put it into practical terms for our listeners?
Yeah. So when your child is, having what we call a meltdown or a tantrum, or they're having some kind of really intense emotion, what's happened is whatever stimulation has been coming in at them, or that their nervous system is recognizing as stimulating, whether that's having been at a birthday party for a little longer than their nervous system can tolerate. It can even be something fun, right? Or whether it's because, somebody at preschool took their toy and they're mad, right? It doesn't matter what the overstimulation is from. What we look at when we look at it through the nervous system lens is that the stressor that's just happened to them and the intensity of the emotions that they're feeling in their body is greater than they have the capacity to tolerate.
Mhm.
And so that tips them into a bit of fight flight. Most people have heard of the reptilian brain. So you have, calm and regulated, and then you have fight flight, and then you have a freeze response. So if they tip over into fight flight, that's usually what you're seeing when they either are, and the flight, of course, is the tendency to want to run away. Some people say my child is running away from me, or the striking out, the biting, the hitting, those things that you do when you. And so what's important for the parents to recognize is that the child's nervous system is registering fight or flight. It's like a threat to their survival, really.
Right.
Right. And so that's where the behavior is coming from. And I often find that even just understanding that much, and understanding that your child needs to co-regulate with you, meaning that you need to be more regulated than your child and you need to be the calming influence, that is often just enough even to support parents to feel more patient, and to be able to just dig just a little bit deeper and find that patience and that understanding and that compassion for their child in those really difficult moments.
So just to clarify for our listeners, when you say the parent needs to be regulated, another common language term would be calm. The parent needs their own sense of calm.
Yes,
right?
They need, their calm and their groundedness. Thank
you,
Lisa.
Yeah, yes. Cool. Yeah. Because some of this is new lingo for people, right? So
yes,
just to and you and I know that the regulation is all the pistons in the brain that are firing off in different ways to help us calm and get that regulation. But and that's where Serena and I always talk about, connection before correction, because a child or anybody can't hear direction about what to do if they're in that fight or flight mode, right? So
yeah, exactly.
So you have a course coming up about this, right?
Yeah.
How to help your child calm and regulate. Can you?
I do. Yeah.
That's so exciting. Yeah. Tell us. Tell our listeners all about it.
It is exciting. So it'll have, so there's some of the neuroscience foundation that we just talked about in a little bit more detail. And I have done a lot of translating about, the neuroscience terms into like what you see in your everyday life, both in your children and in you as a parent. For instance, when you're overwhelmed as a parent, you might be tipping over from fight, flight into freeze a little bit, right? So recognizing where we are in our regulation and recognizing where your child is can really help you to know what to do. So we talk about that as a foundation. And then there's lots of practical strategies to use with your kids and with yourself, and also lots of reflection, self-awareness exercises to help you to gain self-awareness and to apply it to your family. And then I'm really excited about a couple of things with the new format. One is that I've recorded the format because I find that for busy parents, it's really hard to attend class at a designated time. Yeah. So I've recorded the content, and I actually have really comprehensive notes in the guidebook as well. So for parents who just need to skip through and read some of the subtitles and kind of get the gist of it, maybe if they can't watch it all. And then I'm also really, so people can listen when they're driving and so on, And then I'm also really excited about the enrichment calls, which will be part Q&A for people to get information to apply to their own situation, but will also be have some sort of exercises and, again, self-awareness, things to help the content be more real in your own everyday life.
Nice.
Yeah.
Is that an individual call or a group?
It's a group call.
Okay. But those are live.
Those are live with me present. Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Okay. And the main bulk of the course is pre-recorded that you can do at your own time, in your own zone, whenever that works for you. And then these live calls. That's wonderful. That sounds like a really helpful combination. And in the live calls, getting to go, okay, but my kid did this and I don't know what to do. And then you can, that's beautiful.
Extra
that's beautiful.
Support. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's going to be 2 enrichment calls every week for different time zones and so on as well, and different
Wow.
schedules. So there's a 6:30 Wednesday evening Pacific time, and then a 10 a.m. Pacific Thursday morning as well.
Oh, that's beautiful. Very
Yeah.
generous. Yeah. Great. So, and that starts soon.
That starts on October 24th. And as we're recording this, I've still got early pricing available. But by the time you listen to this, which is going to be Tuesday, the 18th, I believe, the early prices will have ended. But if you look below in the show notes, I'm going to post a coupon that you can use in a checkout cart. So that your listeners will still have an opportunity to get the early pricing for 48 hours after.
That's so
Yeah.
kind.
Thank
So
you.
you guys, our listeners, you get the early bird pricing extended a little with this special coupon. That's really beautiful. Thank you so much, Colleen.
Yeah, you're so welcome.
So just before we close out, we wanted to ask you 3 quick questions. Number 1 being, what does being a nurturing parent look like to you?
I think that being a nurturing parent to me looks like nurturing yourself as well as your kids.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What I mean by that is just really a lot of self-compassion and acceptance of ourselves, and remembering that parenting really is a practice. It's there isn't any perfect, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's beautiful.
Number 2 is, what's one thing that surprised you about becoming a parent?
I think the thing that surprised me the most was how much I could love another human being. And probably a close second is how much I'd have to grow and learn to be the parent I wanted to be.
Love it.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, very powerful.
And lastly, if you can just share with our listeners where they can find you and connect with you and sign up for your class.
Yeah.
Or that's going to be in the show notes, right?
Yeah, we'll have that for sure in the show notes. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. And yeah, my website, I think we can link that below, can we? My website. And I've, just so you know, I've got free parenting tips in my blog that I write fairly regularly. And I'm also posting at least weekly, if not more, on Facebook and Instagram.
So ColleenAdrian.com.
Yes.
And who are you on Facebook and Instagram?
And on Facebook and Instagram, I'm Colleen Parent Writer on Instagram.
Okay, great. We'll pop them in the show notes too, but just some people are better auditory learners, right?
Gotcha.
So I like to give both.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, this has been beautiful. And I know it's just a tiny little taste of all that you have to offer, because a lot of this sounds exactly like what we're really focused on here at the Nurturing Parent is, doing our own healing, being calm and connected.
Awareness.
Yeah, awareness on so many levels. And just bringing it back to, I love that one of your influences is that connection to nature too, because I think that for me, that's my place where I get regulated. If I'm going through anything in life, and right, Serena, we talk about this with the children. If they're bouncing off the walls, get them outside where there aren't any walls, and they can regulate just by being out there.
I love it. Yeah, they really attune to the resonance, I think, and it brings them into regulation.
And if you live in an urban area, let them look at the little dandelions growing through the pavement on your way to the park. There are ways to find little signs of nature everywhere.
And the birds.
The birds are lovely.
You hear them in our show sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Thank you so much, Colleen. It was so nice having you here on the show for us and our listeners.
Thank you so much for having me. I love the work that you two are doing, and I it's been an honor to be here and to share with your audience. Thank you.
Thanks. And thanks, you mamas out there listening in. Hope that you got something from Colleen today in our conversation. We love you.
Oh, it was so nice having Colleen on the show. She is so wholesome and I just love her work. So I just wanted to share my 4 gems from this episode. Number 1 being that sensitive spirited kids are a thing. And before, you would have just been labeled a crybaby or a drama queen. You're being dramatic. And no, to take that label off and to just acknowledge that there are kids who are just born sensitive spirited, and acknowledging that helps. That's the first step in helping. It's just acknowledging that you have a sensitive spirited kid. So number 2 is that when you suppress those feelings and you do call them a drama queen or a crybaby and push and cause them to push those feelings back, you create a disconnect for them to be able to listen to their gut instincts and to listen to what their body wants to tell them. And we don't want to do that. And we probably have to work on that for ourselves first to then be able to help and support our own kids. Then number 3 is this culture of overstimulation right now. We as parents need to allow space for our kids, allow them to stay grounded, and we need to be their calm. That is our job. And Colleen helps parents do this by learning and understanding what's going on with your kids. So that's what she teaches you in the course, the neuroscience and layman's terms, what is really going on inside your kids, so you can have more sympathy and empathy to have patience. And number 4, my favorite gem, is Colleen. She is awesome. And if you're thinking about taking the course, everything's going to be in the show notes. You can just reach out to her and talk to her on her social media if you'd like, or she emails, so you can send her an email. And she really helps you start the foundational work to be able to develop a healthy, deep connection with your child. So if you're thinking about it, I say go for it. Colleen is a beautiful person. She has a beautiful soul, and she is filled with so much knowledge for you mamas. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next week.
Thanks for being here with us, Mama. Hit subscribe to get notified about our new episodes each week.
And hey, did you even learn anything in this episode? I know I did. Show some support and send it to your mama friends to bless their day too.
Also, by leaving a review, did you know you'll be helping more mamas find us and hopefully find answers to the questions that might be keeping them awake at night?
And if you screenshot your review and DM it to us, you will be entered to win a 1-hour coaching call at a discounted price with Amalisa.
Or come hang out with us in our Facebook group or on Instagram. Just click our links in the show notes or DM us anytime.
We also have a Buy Me a Coffee option for a fun way that you can support this podcast for just as much as you care to give. Just click the show support link in our show notes. Thank you.
Thanks so much. We love you.